So, why did we go for a motorhome instead of a caravan? Well, it's always been our dream since we had our first campervan 22 years ago in the UK, when the kids were little, and we used to just drive it to the beach, get fish and chips, or walk around the local stores and then just go back and chill out and let the kids play on the beach. But back then a motorhome was well out of our reach, but we used to enjoy looking through the magazines and dreaming about buying a motorhome one day. And then we came to Australia, and then originally we were tenters, because again, motorhomes weren't something that we could afford back then. So we did tenting, and we used to go away with a tent, and I think at one point we had a 30-foot tarp that we used to set up with about 500,000 poles to go over our complete camp. And then we dabbled with a camper trailer at one point, which was slightly better than having a tent, but still, you know, quite a bit to set it up. And then we moved on to the VW Multivan, and we had a bed in the back of that, and we used to go away with Freya when we just had the one dog, and that was fine. And we had a little annex more or less sealed in, and we used to go away and sleep in the back of the VW. And then in our wisdom we decided to get this lunatic, Leah, because our first dog Freya was a little bit timid, so we thought we'll get another dog and bring Freya out of her shell, and that worked. But we would then, after we got Leah, we had a camping trip planned, and my wife Christine wasn't overly excited at the prospect of taking two dogs away in a VW Multivan because of the space, because obviously there's not a lot of space in the back of one of them vans once you've got your bed set up. So as it happened, one of our neighbours I noticed was getting a roadworthy on his pop-top caravan, so we didn't have any plans to buy a caravan, but I told Christine, oh, the neighbour's selling his pop-top, and the first thing she said was, how much does he want for it? Go ask him. So I did, and we subsequently bought it because it was in such good condition, and we went away on our first trip with two dogs in the caravan, which you can see in my first video that I posted, our first relaxing trip in a caravan, link above. But as I say, it wasn't a plan to buy a caravan, it just something that fell into place. And then we thoroughly enjoyed being in the caravan. We enjoyed, as I said in my last video, being able to cook outside, come inside, get rid of all the flies, eat inside. It was nice to be able to relax inside, put the fan on, eat at the dinette, get up in the morning, get the Bluetti out, do some tea and toast, and we actually enjoyed that lifestyle. So not long after that trip, we went to see a financial advisor, because I'd like to retire at some point in the near future, and one of our requirements was, can you plan in for us maybe buying a motorhome? So we came home after that discussion, and we talked to each other, and we said, if we enjoy that lifestyle, why don't we see if we can find a motorhome now rather than wait a few years? So that's what we did, and we were really lucky that I've been doing research on my perfect motorhome layout, and we always wanted the club lounge at the back and a separate sitting area, so that if I wanted to get up and Christine wanted to stay in bed, she could. And so my preferred these two dogs are both sat on top of me. So our preferred layout was a club lounge that converted into a bed at the back with a dinette at the front, and that was basically a Euro Deluxe, which is a very popular rental layout used by Apollo and various motorhome places that rent them out to holidaymakers and stuff. And we chanced across one, so we took the punt. It was a third of the cost of a new one, but it gives us the opportunity now, rather than waiting several years, we can start doing a few trips now. So what about our thoughts on the pros and cons of caravans? Well, we've only owned a caravan for 3 months, but I can talk about what our pros and cons are. Obviously everyone's pros and cons are different, and everyone's got different reasons for why they want a caravan or why they want a motorhome. But what we found is, well, first of all, I generally dislike towing anything. So I don't particularly like towing a caravan, constantly having to keep a check on the back of it. And I really am not a fan of reversing a caravan. Now you might all say, oh yeah, well, if you keep practicing, you'll do it. I get by reversing, don't get me wrong. It's just a little extra stress that I can do without. And I'm sure you all know what it's like when you get your wife on the other end of the CB and you're trying to reverse into a spot. You know, it takes all your effort to avoid World War III. Another thing is, my wife doesn't want to tow, so it's all on me to tow the caravan, and I find it a bit stressful. And as opposed to driving around in a motorhome, I don't find it stressful. It's just like driving a car / van. You don't even notice the size of the back of the motorhome, to be honest with you. Obviously the space in the motorhome, you could get the same space in a caravan, but then you're going to be towing an even bigger caravan to get the same sort of space, which, you know, does that increase the magnitude of all the reason I don't want to tow anything in the first place. I also think that the setup time in a motorhome is quicker. You can basically drive to site, put the handbrake on, get in the back, and you're ready to go. Well, if you're on a powered site, you just plug it in and connect the water up. Well, we don't even connect the water up because on this it's all self-contained, so we put water in the tanks, so we don't actually need to even hook up town water. So it's just a case of plugging in if needs be. But this van's got 2 big AGM batteries, and I think it's got about 300 watts of solar on the roof. I've never seen the batteries drop down too much so far, but time will tell on that one. And so yeah, I think the setup time's a bit quicker on a motorhome, and also the set down time will be quicker. I mean, we find ourselves doing more, even in the caravan. We were doing more in the van, and we were only having a couple of chairs outside and the awning down in the caravan. Well, again, it's just the same thing, I suppose. We just have to put the awning away as we would in a caravan, but there's no hooking up and no winding up the levelers or anything. It's just put the awning up, make sure everything's away and all the cupboards are locked, and Bob's your uncle, and off we go. So yeah, I think it's a bit quicker to set up and set down in a motorhome. And my wife will drive the motorhome as well, so that's a bonus for me. Now the cons, there are some of having a motorhome, and these cons will be I guess a reason why a lot of you out there don't want a motorhome and you prefer your caravan. Obviously, once you set up in your motorhome, if you want to go to the shops to get something, unless you've got a bike on the back or a scooter or something, you've got to set down your camp and drive off. That night might not be such a big deal if you've got a minimum setup outside, but still you've got to drive your whole camp away to the shops to get something. The other one, which might be a biggie, is you're restricted to where you can go with a motorhome. I mean, you could probably risk it on unsealed roads, but as far as going down 4-wheel tracks, I would say that's a bit of a no-no in something like this, for sure. So a lot of caravan owners, off-road vans, they can get down the beaten track. You couldn't in this, so you've got to accept that you're going to be mostly on sealed roads, the occasional unsealed roads, and caravan parks, and, you know, overnight spaces, overnight places, showgrounds, that sort of thing. you're not really getting into any four-wheel drive bush parks. The other thing as well, if you have a problem with your van or your motorhome, let's say, whether it's the vehicle side or the actual living side, you're without your whole vehicle. Whereas if you've got a caravan and a car, if your caravan's off, something wrong with your car, and you can put that in and you're still mobile in your car, and vice versa. You know, you can, if there's something wrong with your caravan, you've still got your car, and you've got your car if your caravan's broke. I think you understand what I mean there. I think I've confused myself there, but you're not, everything's not offline if you've got a problem in one or the other, where it is if you're in a motorhome. So far, those are what we think are the pros and cons and the reason for why we bought a motorhome. I'd be interested to hear what your views of it all are. Please like and subscribe and comment if you've got any questions. Today was our first little day out, if you like. We just spent yesterday taking all the seat covers off, all the curtains, cleaning them and putting them all back on, and that was a challenge, believe me, because the seat foam on these is like double part. So there's two pieces of foam. There's a piece at the edge that's sealed with a zip, and then once you put that piece in, there's another piece behind it. So that was a bit of a challenge, especially the rear seat, which is the whole width of the van. But we've managed to get them all clean. Now they're full of dog hair, but at least they were clean when we came out this morning. And we've just popped down to a local spot on the Broadwater, enjoying the views. In fact, we're sat in front of a $10 million house, so these are $10 million views here. So again, please like and subscribe, and until next time, catch us later. Bye.